Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you!
Aye, aye, Captain!
Oh! Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
SpongeBob SquarePants!
Absorbent and yellow and porous is he.
SpongeBob SquarePants!
If nautical nonsense be something you wish,
SpongeBob SquarePants!
then drop on the deck and flop like a fish!
SpongeBob SquarePants!
Ready? SpongeBob SquarePants! SpongeBob SquarePants! SpongeBob SquarePants! SpongeBob SquarePants!
So these are the things that I want you to remember. SpongeBob can teach you a lot if you just think about how these characters interact with each other. You'll learn quite a bit just from watching this cartoon. Okay, so remember these things. Number one, don't spend your life like Plankton, complaining, arguing, fighting, coveting, and being rude and warring with other people because they have something that you want. Being jealous of other people is no happy way to live. Number two, don't spend your life like Mr. Krabs, constantly seeking after the one thing you already have an abundance of. Okay? And number three, don't spend your life in envy, coveting what others have, as I said with Plankton. That's no way to live. If you spend your life constantly focusing on what other people have, then it's going to make your perspective be, well, why don't I have it? And all of your focus is going to be on what you don't have rather than what you do have. And you're not going to be able to be thankful for anything that you already have. And the goal is to get you to be thankful for those things which you have, because gratitude is how you multiply what you have. Greed and envy and coveting is how you lose what you have. You've got to get yourself out of this vicious cycle of envying, of coveting, of constantly wanting what other people have and focusing on what you don't. Who cares what other people have? Each person has a separate path in this life that they're supposed to follow. Your path is not the same as someone else's. So don't waste your time being jealous of them. It's fruitless, and it will produce absolutely nothing, and it will produce loss in your life. Okay, number four, ask God for those things you need, spiritual and material. You have to ask for it. This is why spoken words are so important. When you ask out loud for something, when you have that intimate relationship with God and you talk to God on a regular basis, in prayer or just throughout your day, if you talk to God, prayer in the Bible means a face-to-face relationship with God. Now, how do you have a face-to-face relationship with someone? You don't just stare at them and try to communicate with like telepathy if you're sitting in front of your best friend. No, you're going to open your mouth and speak. That's the same thing that you need to do with God. You need to have a face-to-face intimate relationship with him. Okay? And once you do that, then he's going to work with you to get the spiritual aspects of yourself right. And once you're spiritually correct in the sight of God, although you may not be perfect, but at least you're doing all things trying to be obedient to what he has asked you to do. You're doing everything you can to stay within his will for your life and doing right by your family and the people in your life, then you're automatically going to receive those material things that you may have been seeking after prior to submitting to God and letting him work in your life. The material will automatically be given to you. It'll just come. Number 6, don't live your life, again, like Mr. Krabs, with a greedy heart. What you're seeking will always be just outside of your grasp. And you'll be constantly in want if you have greed in your heart. Number 7, learn to be giving and help those that need help. What you give is always given back to you. And if you give without being greedy, without expecting to receive something, if you give simply out of the goodness of your heart because you know it is the right thing to do, God will multiply what you gave and give it back to you. It comes full circle, and when you get it back, it's always multiplied. Giving is the seed for receiving. You have to give to receive. Remember that. It's very important. And the last thing, certainly not the least, number 8, do all things as if you are doing them for God. Work like you're working for the Lord. That's how I was raised. That's how a lot of Christians are raised. If you do things as if God's going to come inspect your work, then you're never going to have to worry about doing things halfway or not doing something to the best of your ability. Always do things to the best of your ability. And take a look at SpongeBob SquarePants himself for this. SpongeBob does everything 100% all the time. Even though he may make a lot of mistakes, SpongeBob always enjoys his life, and he always does things 100%. He goes to work, and he might not have the best job in the world, but he does his job to the best of his ability and tries to find joy in it every day. I'm saying, okay, am I saying that all of us need to act like SpongeBob? No, although that would bring a lot of humor into our lives. But what I am saying is that you can look at the characters on this show and derive some pretty good insight into maybe the things that you may not be doing right in your life, that maybe they can be compared to you, and you can derive some pretty good lessons from watching this show. Okay, so I hope that you got something from this. Watch some SpongeBob and see if you don't learn a thing or two. After seeing these episodes, I'm not going to be too upset about my child watching SpongeBob anymore, because now I can look at it in a completely different perspective, and I hope now you do too. Okay, this is the end. To request your copy of this teaching, please go to www.greatmercies.org.
The best day ever's gonna last all night now. It's the best.